Week 8, upset alerts. It's going to happen. We're just trying to figure out where it's going to happen. For instance, did you know that Texas A&M plays Mississippi State in a real-life conference football game Saturday at 4:15 Eastern Time, 3:15 local time there in Starkville? A&M's coming off a bye. I was just talking in the live chat before the show, which I do sometimes with you guys. Someone said this is a trap game for A&M, and I'm like, how can it be a trap game if you're coming off a bye? Just because you may lose doesn't mean you were in a trap. That's not the way I look at it, at least. However, my upset alert meter here is only at a 5 because A&M's favored by 17. Jesse, didn't you say that went up to 17 right before the show? 17 and a half, maybe? Somewhere like that? I don't know. My earpiece is plugged with earwax. It's a sad, sad situation. 18 and a half. Wow. So A&M's off a bye. All right, Mississippi State. Here's what you need to know. Their most recent two have been their best two. Now, it's been masked because they lost to Texas and Georgia. But they played competitively against Texas, and they put 31 on Georgia last week. They brought Van Buren in at quarterback. He's been better. And so, come back home. Been on the road a couple of weeks. You just threw for 300 against Georgia. A&M, everyone's talking about the Texas game. Everyone's talking about the LSU game down the road. Could you clip them? Yeah. Yes, you could. Yes. Crazier things have happened. This is the SEC in 2024. Anything could happen. I'm not overlooking this. I'm putting a 5 on it on the upset alert concern meter. Next up, let's go 3:30 Eastern Saturday. Michigan is at Illinois. Michigan is laying 3.5 points. Yes, with that offense, they're laying 3.5. They're coming out of their bye too. They have this is a paper popper of a stat. Michigan has played 6 games. They have surpassed 135 yards passing once. Once in half a dozen games, they have thrown for over 135. To compare that, several teams have done that in a quarter of football at various points during the season. Luke Altmaier at Illinois, quarterback there, coming off his best game. He needed it because they had to score like half 100 last week. Now, here's the downside, and this is why I'm still going to be mildly to moderately concerned about this game. I'm putting an 8 on the upset alert concern scale here. Illinois is 77th in the country in run defense, which means you got to do what Texas did. You got to get a lead on Michigan. You got to get a lead, early lead, basically just continue a lot of that scoring momentum you had last week, and things could go well for you. I've got an 8 here. This wouldn't be a huge upset anyway. It's 3.5 point spread. Next up, a little bigger spread. Same time slot, 3:30, the mid-afternoon window. I hate where this game is being played. Notre Dame is, Jesse, is that number right? 9.5? I had a bad number on my sheet of paper here, if so. Anyway, Notre Dame's playing Georgia Tech. Yeah, that number's right. Wow. Okay, Notre Dame minus 9.5 against Georgia Tech. I have got a 6 on the upset alert concern meter here. It's a neutral field game. That's the reason why I hate it, because they're playing it down the road from Georgia Tech. They're playing it in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which would be great if you were playing Syracuse there, all due respect. You're playing Notre Dame, so they'll probably outnumber you, but hey, I understand. We got to make that gate money. Haynes King is a game-time decision here for Georgia Tech. It's a big deal, starting quarterback. They lead the ACC in rushing right now, just like they led the ACC in rushing last year. Georgia Tech has kind of started to take on this feel as a big game program, a program that you can count on showing up in big games. And Notre Dame, conversely, has not trailed since basically the Northern Illinois game. In fact, I don't know if they've trailed at all. If they have, it's been very fleeting and momentary. And so, can you put them in that situation? I think that Brent Key and Georgia Tech can. Notre Dame keeps incurring injury after injury after injury. J.P. Poll still loves Notre Dame. J.P. Poll, actually, I'll give you a little early taste of what Friday Night Lions is like. Someone puts Notre Dame, Georgia Tech in the live chat. I pull it up. The model actually loves Notre Dame to cover this week at a 62% cover probability. I'm not betting it because I don't trust this model properly accounting for the cumulative effect of injury on Notre Dame. So, I've still got concern here. I'm going to make it a 6 on the upset alert concern scale. Nebraska is at Indiana this week. Indy, not Nebraska, Indy is laying 6.5. I'm concerned. Big noon kickoff there. I'm concerned. I'm concerned because we can't take anything for granted with Indiana. Indiana is one of 2 teams in the country that hasn't trailed. That's wonderful. They have won every game. They're 7-0. They've won every game by 14 plus. That is wonderful. It hasn't been a murderer's row yet. And not that you got a top 5 team coming in here, but it's the best team you probably played so far. In fact, there's no probably. Nebraska's the best team you've played so far. It's the best test to date. Nebraska's coming off a bye, which is wild because I think I saw the next 4 teams Nebraska plays are all off byes, which is a dereliction of scheduling duty, but I digress. I'm putting an 8 on this. I am concerned. I look at Nebraska, and I think that this is a ripe opportunity for them to pick someone off that in the preseason you never would have guessed. You didn't look at this spot if you're a Nebraska fan in the preseason and say, ooh, we'll play back-to-back ranked teams, Indiana and Ohio State. No, you just thought, we got some winnable games before Ohio State. You never thought you'd be a dog in this game. I'm going to put an 8 on it. I do think Nebraska can do some business here. Next up, how about this inversion? All right, in the preseason, a lot of you people, of whomst I am one, loved Oklahoma State to go to the Big 12 championship game. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. But they are going to go to Provo, Utah this weekend because they're going to play Brigham Young. Undefeated Brigham Young. Screwed out of the JP poll top 25 Brigham Young, according to some, maybe even me. Brigham Young minus 9.5. I don't know what the futures number on this was in the preseason market or if they even posted it at FanDuel, but I can promise you one thing. Oklahoma State wasn't getting points against Brigham Young. This is a Friday game, by the way. It's a late kickoff. It's 10:15 Eastern. I've got a 7.5 on this. And now Oklahoma State has been a complete no-show of a team this year, but they're coming off their bye, and they are facing a team that on the surface has been one of the stories of college football this year, which is great. Everything is deserved on the part of Brigham Young. Here's the potential problem when it comes to looking ahead. Not in the rear view. They can't take the wins away from you. But if we're trying to be predictive about this, and part of the reason why the model wouldn't have Brigham Young a little bit higher is they're 7th in turnovers created, which again is wonderful. It is not always the best predictive metric for what you will be the rest of the way. Not merit, predictability. They are bottom half of the country in total offense, but they've taken the ball away. That's, I think, the only team in the country to have a fumble return for a touchdown, an interception for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So total inversion on what this game would have been in the preseason versus what it is now. Having said that, even though Brigham Young laying 9.5 at home, I've got like a 7.5 on the upset alert concern scale. And it's not because Oklahoma State has shown me anything. Trust me, they have not. But this would be the random spot with your opponent coming off a bye and you've been rolling and you've had that turnover fortune on your side. If it doesn't show up even 1 week, you're in a dogfight automatically. 7.5 there. And lastly, some people in the chat said I should dare not even bring this game up. But Oregon just played Ohio State. They won. Letdown spot, right? Of course. They are traveling to West Lafayette, Indiana, across 2 time zones. So we've got letdown spot. We've got long Big Ten travel spot. It's a Friday game. So we've got short rest spot. And they're playing the spoiler makers with an entire coaching staff being told it's do or die time for them. So we got the letdown. We got the travel. We got the short rest here. And need I remind everyone, once upon a time, Alabama beat Georgia in a game eerily similar to Oregon over Ohio State. And then what did Alabama do the next week? As I recall, they went to Vanderbilt and toted an L all the way home to Tuscaloosa. So Oregon goes to Purdue, favored by 28.5. No one concerned. The live chat telling me I shouldn't even bring the game up. Ryan Brown at quarterback. Second half last week, 46 points. Second half last week. All I'm saying is I am putting a 3.5 on this. Not overly concerned, but if Purdue pops them early, just like Vandy did against Alabama, this is a 4-quarter game because it sets up. It's got all the hallmarks. Honestly, I've used this term already. I think it's a dereliction of scheduling duty. Let me take it a step further. It is trash to have a team play a conference game and then fly 2 time zones on short rest to play another conference game. Garbage. I know you got this Friday night package and whatnot, immunity. Should never happen. Just because it happens to be Purdue and you happen to be favored by a lot, what if it was Indiana? You know, a team no one expected from in the preseason, but all of a sudden they're undefeated and they're top 20, and you're going in there and it's another dogfight, and you're on 6 days rest coming off the Ohio State game, having to travel 2,500, 3,000 miles. Should never be able to happen. But that's up to the Big Ten's league scheduling office. I'm going to put a 3.5 on the upset alert concern meter there.